Welcome to the Big Play Cleveland Show. I'm Gabriella Cruz alongside Nick Padone and Chris McNeil. We're coming off a Father's Day weekend. Jose on the paternity leave list, hoping to get him back here shortly. And we had the U.S. Open. We've got to talk about the Joey Chestnut situation over the course of the show. And, you know, it's a slow sports time of year, so...
Yeah, welcome to mid-June.
We'll try to keep it interesting.
We've done some interesting things on the show throughout the history of the show in these slow summer months. So we'll keep that tradition alive for you guys. We're talking to former UFC star, Hall of Famer Rich Franklin from right here in Ohio. Yeah. He'll help us get some picks and things ready for UFC 303 coming up. There was some more high drama in that as well. Conor McGregor was supposed to be his return, and then not so fast, kind of backed out at the last moment. So they had to jumble and find some new fighters for that. So always a ton going on, but in these summer months, it feels like you have to make it be a ton going on.
Tell you what, though. Coming off of Father's Day, great Father's Day. For me, I was there with my grandfather, with my dad. We were in the pool. We were watching the U.S. Open. And I'll tell you what, some great drama right there. Bryson DeChambeau, Rory McIlroy, down the stretch. Rory chokes it away, completely chokes on a 2.5-foot putt there. You know, something I would do, which I can appreciate. You know, a lot of people want to see greatness, and I appreciate greatness, but I also like it every once in a while when these guys look like me out there on the links, and that's what happened to Rory. He choked in the biggest moment, and as soon as he did that, he left that door open for Bryson. Bryson had not been hitting many fairways. He'd been all over the place all day, was able to pull magic out of his hat just time and time again. He does it there on 18, hits it a bad drive, hits it into a greenside bunker, gets it up there, makes the putt. I mean, kudos to Bryson. I'll tell you what, he made me into a believer this weekend. He was a guy I was not very big on. He conducted himself, though, the entire weekend, very becoming to the fans. He was really interacting with the fans, had a good time. There was a kid off of a 13 or 14 green. He signed his hat right in the middle of the round. These are times when we're used to guys like Tiger Woods who are so laser focused, they're not paying attention to anybody in the crowd. Bryson was interacting with people this entire weekend. It was really refreshing to see. So I didn't think this way last week, but good for Bryson. I'm rooting for you, and just a fantastic win there. And for Rory, where do you go from here? That was yakety sax when he's going out of that room after he sees Bryson make the putt, and then he peels out of the parking lot afterwards, doesn't talk to reporters. This is not the Rory I was rooting for. I was rooting for the Rory, the guy who didn't go over to Live Golf, who was going to be the white knight for us, where he had DeChambeau, who did go to Live Golf, took all the money, was the dark knight, and we come out of this weekend. DeChambeau's the good guy here, Nick.
Yeah, how about that? At least Rory got his wife back along the way. That was
maybe that's the problem, Nick. Coming from a divorced guy over here, there is something to be said for not being married sometimes, and especially when it comes to your golf game.
Yeah,
you have a little more focus. Is that what you're saying?
A little bit more focus, maybe a little bit more time to focus on your game too.
Okay,
right.
I did notice that Bryson was very laid back with all the fan interaction. I almost think that's a hallmark of being so confident in your skills that you don't have to be perfectly zoned in the entire time, because you know that your game isn't changing, the hay is in the barn, and I can just enjoy this experience. That's what really stood out to me. I was like, this dude knows he's got it.
And you've probably seen that as an athlete too. When you're competing in front of a crowd and you're very loose, you're confident.
Yeah, when
you've already put your work in, right?
Yeah, when you really come to that level of in your mind, it almost to me shows that you are really confident.
Yeah. Yeah, you could definitely see it there. He was loose, he was having fun with the crowd, and he was shooting some good golf. Even though he was spraying that driver all over the place, he was able to maintain his composure, make the shots when it counted. That U.S. Open, that was tricked up. Pinehurst number 2, Donald Ross. I've played Donald Ross's before. That thing was a Donald Ross monster down there. Those greens were so fast. They had so much sand all over the place. You get off of that fairway, you're in no man's land real quick. Bryson was finding it, and he was recovering.
And our guy Justin Lauer, shout out, Northeast Ohio zone. We were pumped for him to be in the pool for the U.S. Open. Top 50 finish, tied for 50th, did our guy Justin. So hopefully he could use that momentum moving forward. Super cool to see.
Neil Shipley as well from the Ohio State University as an amateur, went out there, had a great weekend.
You see the
really
club
did.
cover was the Arby's
curly fries.
Shout out Will Burge. I know he was a little bit jealous about that. Yeah, that was a great little club cover there.
What would you have if you had a club cover?
Well, I've actually got a personalized one.
Yeah.
I have got the Reef Log Cigar Guy.
Wow, stop
as my
it.
head cover. Yeah, it's a leather one. It is like an expensive leather one.
Go to a solo shot of McNeil. There he is, over his shoulder. So that's what your club cover
So one
is.
of my friends, shout out Justin Yandaruziak, has his own company where they make custom head covers. And one of them that he made was the Cigar Guy for me, and
That's
it's fantastic.
wild. I'm gonna need to see
Let the
this.
big dog eat.
Yeah,
That's what
I've
it
seen,
says.
I've
yeah.
seen it. It's awesome.
And it's in Brown's colors. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
That's
it's really
funny.
good.
Nick, what would yours be?
I don't know. I'm horrible at golf, so probably nothing. Probably like an actual sock, like straight out my drawer.
We were just
You also have
talking.
a dirty white sock with the
Yeah.
rings. That would be perfect for you.
Exactly.
Pre-show, we were randomly talking about the show, the cartoon Franklin, which is a blast from the past, throwback. But hey, it's Franklin, and Nick said that he had bowls and spoons and
I had,
everything
a
with
set.
Franklin.
And I think my parents must have gotten it out of like a cereal box or something because they were not nice. Like they were honestly probably had like lead paint on them. But yeah, I had like a set with like the little Franklin cartoon turtle. Like his head was in the bowl, his head was on the spoon.
And now his head could be on your golf club.
That would be kind of cool. Yeah,
It would
one of my
be
favorite
funny.
cartoons growing up. That's a good idea.
Yeah, there you go. I could see it. It fits you. We've got to take a short break. We'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland show right after this.
Welcome back into the Big Play Cleveland show. It's time for our featured interview, as always, brought to you guys by our friends at Garage Beer. And hey, June is steak month, and Garage Beer partnered with Heinen's grocery stores to help you celebrate. And we're going to help you celebrate at the Big Play Network as well. Snap a picture of your grilling setup with some Garage Beer and tweet it at us at Big Play Cle Show. And we're going to hook a lucky winner up with some Garage Beer merch, some Big Play merch, and a brand new grill. So go stop into Heinen's right now. You can save $2 when you buy a 12-pack of Garage Beer and any Heinen's steak. Snap a picture of that steak on the grill, tweet it to us at Big Play, and you'll be entered to win a brand new grill. Today, we are joined by UFC legend, Ohio native, Rich Franklin joins us on the Big Play Cleveland show. What is going on, Rich? Thanks for popping on with us.
What's going on, man? I actually just got out of jiu-jitsu class on my side, doing a little bit of training, and I'm back home to. I scheduled my whole day around this interview with you.
All right.
All right. Look at that. So it's big time. We better nail it. Hey, I want to start first talking about your current venture, and then we could take a look at ventures past. And obviously, you're now serving as the VP of One Championship. Tell us a little bit about the organization, how you got started with it, and a little birdie has told me that eventually you guys might look to host some events right here in the great state of Ohio.
Well, yeah. I don't know who informed you of something like that, but yeah, we can go down that path. So I met Chatri, our CEO, back in 2012, I think it was. I went down. I flew down to Singapore to do a seminar. Taught at a martial arts school down in Singapore, and then met him. Met the powers that be at One Championship, and at that time I was still competing, and it was maybe earlier than 2012, but I was still active. And they just said, hey, if you would ever be interested in a position when you're done competing, let us know. And so when it came time for retirement, I didn't have anything set for, work for the UFC, and they had no positions for me. So I took them up on their offer, and that was, I've been with One Championship now for 10 years. I actually they just sent me, I don't know where my little medal is, but they just sent me a 10-year commemorative anniversary thing. So I think this is actually the longest I've ever worked for anybody in my entire life, including my professional career. It slightly eclipses my professional career by a few months at this point in time. So as fighting, that is. So yeah. So no, that's how that happened. I went down to Singapore to teach a seminar, and then from there I just began work for the company. And originally I was working for them out of Ohio, commuting to and from, but then it led to me moving to Singapore for several years. And now we're making our push into the United States. Obviously, we're going to be talking about this today. We got events in Denver on September 6th and one in Atlanta on November 8th. And so I'm here on this side of the planet doing whatever work is necessary to propel that endeavor forward, a lot of which is me working with the athletic commissions.
Awesome. What are those fights like for the fans that have never witnessed it, obviously abroad, and we're bringing it here to the States? Maybe fans that were able to attend here in Cleveland, Stipe Miocic fought, UFC card. We've had a bunch of boxing events locally. Ohio is a huge place for that. So for people that want to go watch MMA live and in person, like you said, you're bringing it to Denver. What are these events actually like?
Well, this is a different event than anything you're going to see here in the States. And I forget how good our event is from an entertainment and production standpoint until I hear other people talk about it. When I heard Eddie Bravo talking about attending our event on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he was describing how we have our LED wall and we have these customized graphics for all of our athletes to come out, that's usually like choreographed with a laser light show and some pyrotechnics, and it's a customized walkout for every fighter. And so when you see something like this, I go to the events all the time. And so you just kind of get used to it. Like, this is what we do. The opening ceremony, another opening ceremony. And then when somebody else comes to the event, you suddenly realize like, oh, wow, it's definitely different than any other event on the planet. So, aside from the production that goes into it, it's not just an MMA event. We have MMA matches. We have kickboxing matches. We have Muay Thai matches. We have submission grappling matches. There's a big one coming up on Denver that I'm sure we'll be talking about. And so it's a truly a mixed martial arts event, so to speak. And I really believe, particularly with our Muay Thai product, that once this takes off in the United States, it's going to be really popular because many of the fans, you can watch a fight. Like if you don't know much about boxing or you don't know much about kickboxing, it's easy to watch because the objective is to punch the other person more than they punch you or kick them more than they kick you. But MMA, there's so many nuances to the strategy that if you're not a practitioner, oftentimes as just a casual fan, you might get lost in what's happening. And so our Muay Thai product is in 4-ounce gloves, and it's all the action, all the stand-up action that you would want to have in MMA without the grappling. But our strikers are at a completely different level. Like we have strikers that are at a completely different level. And I'm saying this from personal experience because I've worked with these guys in the gym. It's a completely different level than MMA because when I'm striking in MMA, I have to worry about takedowns and whatnot. And this is it's a much different product. And I do believe that once this catches on to the mainstream in the U.S., it's going to spread like wildfire.
And it's obviously great that you're here in the States, heading it up. Obviously, a UFC legend. We're joined by Rich Franklin right now on the show. We're going to step aside. When we return, we're going to keep the convo alive with Rich, take a quick stroll down memory lane for some of the career highlights of Rich Franklin. Don't go anywhere. More of the Big Play Cleveland show right after this.
Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland show. We have our special guest here with us virtually, former UFC middleweight champion and Hall of Famer Rich Franklin. Thanks for giving us your time. You talked about some of the things you're up to now. We kind of want to go and dive into your career a little bit because you are such an established fighter and still in shape, we know, because you've got your jiu-jitsu career going. But you fought so many other legends in your career. What's the best guy you've ever faced?
Oh, I mean, that would have to, if anybody knows anything about my career, it had to be Anderson Silva. I lost to him twice. And actually, we were talking about bringing events to Ohio. That was probably like that kind of like that Cinderella story where I got to fight my rematch in my hometown. And obviously I didn't end up winning that fight against him. So he's, that's definitely going to be my toughest opponent to date. But man, I mean, you can talk about any opponent that I fought that, win or lose, a guy like Chuck, like that guy hits like he has sledgehammers in his gloves, and a guy like Vanderlei it's like a hurricane is just coming at you and it doesn't stop. And I mean, I can go on and on about pretty much any fighter that I've been in the cage with.
How about this one? We've gotten a ton of just MMA, really UFC news this past week, but Conor McGregor pulled out of UFC 303. How different, especially now that you've been a fighter and now that you're on the business side, how big of a blow is this to a card? And then how do you try to have you ever had a situation like this throughout your career where you got to jump in short notice and fight somebody that you probably weren't really training to fight in a really short amount of time?
That's literally half my career right there. From my first fight with Evan Tanner, it was a fairly short notice fight. And when you look at that, I came into the organization at that time. I don't know what my record was, 14-0, 16-0, whatever it was, with no fights in the UFC. And Evan was something like 8-1, and his only loss was to Tito. So it wasn't like I was being, given it's like I was being fed to the sharks right away. I would say more notably towards the tail end of my career was when Chuck was supposed to fight Tito Ortiz, and they were the coaches on The Ultimate Fighter, and Tito ended up injuring his neck and back. So I got the call to step in. And it is a major blow to the organization because particularly in that case, they had an entire season of The Ultimate Fighter built on that advertisement. So an organization will scramble at that point in time and say, who can we put in a match that has the ability to sell out an arena, pull pay-per-view buys, and put on an exciting fight? And in that case, it was me. So I got the phone call, hey, you want to fight Chuck? And there's a whole separate story to that, but that's literally about half of my career. So with news like Conor dropping out, it can be a major blow to a card, but it depends. Because even a major athlete is like Conor, it's not your only option. There are other athletes that are exciting. So it's a matter of how much time the organization has to put on a new matchup. And if they can put the right marketing behind that, you can salvage a card pretty easily. But it does wreak havoc on plans for sure.
For sure. We're joined by Rich Franklin. Rich, huge thanks to you for popping on the show. Make sure to go follow One Championship on social media at One Championship on Twitter, on IG. Make sure to follow Rich on social at Rich Franklin. Thanks so much for popping on. And when we get some of those events here locally, we'll have to do this again. Thanks so much, Rich.
Yep.
Thanks, all right, Rich. Let's step aside. More of the Big Play Cleveland show right after this.
Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland show. It is time to bring in our garage beer feature. Oh, wait, no, it's not a garage beer featured interview, is it? This is just some good old-fashioned throw in the heat.
Yeah.
With Jensen Lewis. Thanks so much for joining us, Jensen. We got to dive into the Guardians and, how we've been faring without Jose.
Yeah, a little different, right, Gab? It's amazing when you talk about most valuable players and when you take one guy out of their lineup or out of a pitching staff, the difference that it makes. And I realize it was only 2 days, but completely different how Toronto was able to attack this Guardian offense. So hoping to have him back on Tuesday when the homestand begins with Seattle. What I like to call the sauna series, guys. This homestand looks like it's going to be 95 plus with the way the heat's going to be. But either way, no question about it, how important Jose Ramirez is to this lineup and just to the continuity of this offense. You lose him for a couple of games, you kind of see where teams make the ultimate adjustment.
Speaking of bringing the heat this week, when it's hot like it's going to be this week, how does that affect the game, and what do you do, if anything, differently as a player to prepare for this kind of blistering heat?
Chris, it was a thing that I thought about maybe a few months after the pitch clock was instituted, and I was always in the back of my mind thinking of, those instances in Kansas City and St. Louis and maybe even at altitude in Colorado where, you don't have as much time in between pitches, especially if you're covering first base for a ground ball double play or ground ball to the first baseman or second baseman. I wondered how the physical recovery would be specifically for pitchers. We'll get a little crash course into that with our first real jump into heat and humidity here at the ballpark this weekend. Anxious to see how guys are in between innings. You get to that fourth, fifth inning, especially as a starter, if you've had quick innings as far as low pitch counts, is that going to be indicative of maybe getting deeper into a game? That's something to watch, especially the first time around the lineup. A guy has an inning or two where it's some pretty heavy workload trying to get through 3 outs. You may see Stephen Vogt, you may see the opposing managers coming in here figuring, okay, I got to save opportunities and maybe lean on my bullpen a little bit more.
Speaking of heat, maybe someone who's been under fire, coming under heat, Cookie Carrasco, are we keeping him in the rotation? Do we have any other options? What are your thoughts, Jensen?
Yeah, it's a great question, Gab, and I think we get a little writing on the wall with where Gavin Williams and his rehab appearances, or at least his rehab starts, has been matched up with Carlos Carrasco's start day. Now, again, you read into that what you might, but to me, I think it's one of those situations where this front office, this coaching staff, and particularly Stephen Vogt, these are hard conversations, and ultimately, it's about not only helping the team short term wise, but it's the longevity of what your rotation looks like. And this group has always been a bit more conservative on cutting guys loose, or at least taking them out of the rotation, knowing that starting pitching assets are so critical to success. So we may see another turn. If not, it wouldn't surprise me. But knowing how close Gavin Williams is, I think a tough conversation is coming up.
All right, last corny segue about Heat, but Stephen Kwan has been
I was hoping
fire,
you would go there, so we can go 3 for 3 on this.
Hitting almost 400 now on the season is absolutely crazy. How just generational of a run is Stephen Kwan on right now? Because this has been so much fun to watch.
Nick, it's a fabulous topic, and I had the opportunity to talk with Tony Gwynn Jr. This past weekend, and really asked him on the 10-year anniversary of his dad passing. Of course, we know Tony Gwynn Sr., arguably one of the best hitters of our generation, and obviously within the game's history. And right now, Nick, they have a guy in Luis Arraez who we've seen plenty in his time in Minnesota, who is right up there average-wise on the National League side, the way that Stephen Kwan is leading on the American League side. I think I've said it to you guys in the past. The two things you fear as a pitcher are number one, bat-to-ball skills, guys that regularly make contact. Because it's so hard to try and adjust, whether it's eye level, whether it's a different pitch, whether it's a different location. Those guys just find ways to, with regularity, put the barrel on the ball. And then secondly, as I've told you guys in the past, guys that have bat paths where the barrel is in the zone a long time. I told you about Michael Brantley for years, one of the great swings, and really took up a lot of real estate within the strike zone. But I think the fascinating statistic to watch moving forward, and this is also ironic that we bring up Michael Brantley too, look at the amount of times that Stephen Kwan swings and misses. It's not a lot. And it's also coupled with the plate discipline that we know has been an elite skill for him since he got to the big league level. It's a scary thought that he's got a chance to hit 400. And what I mean by that is the opposition is really now going to have to figure out, are you pitching to him with runners on? Are you pitching with him in a close game to start an inning? Like, are you trying to find a way to work around him? It's a double-edged sword, because if you put him on, he can steal. He can take the extra 90 feet. What he's doing right now is just mind-blowing from a consistency standpoint. I hope when we get to September, he's right in that 390 batting average, so we have a real run and a real opportunity for 400.
So we got Seattle this week. They've opened up a big lead in the AL West. What do you see with this matchup with the Guardians in Seattle?
Chris, this is as dominant a pitching staff top to bottom as I think the Guardians are going to face. And I know we got a little window into that in that first road trip of the season, when we began out on the West Coast, but they've now taken it to a whole different level. It is remarkable what they've been able to do in their rotation 1 through 5. I think the back end of their bullpen is as deep as ours as far as swing and miss capability, high velocity. Our hitters have their work cut out for them in that series. And really, it's the first team, I think, to 4 runs. If you score 4 runs on either side, you're winning these games because of how dominant both pitching staffs have been.
How about final thoughts on the U.S. Open? Were you Team Rory or Team Bryson coming down the stretch yesterday?
Team USA, come on.
Yeah.
Bryson was must watch. And I love the fact that the history of it is something he was so reverent about. Of course, 25 years ago with Payne Stewart, and just how he finished having to get out of that bunker shot. It's a career bunker shot, and then burying the putt the way that Payne Stewart did to win his U.S. Open 25 years ago. But I think the fan interaction, and it's unique, guys. We're all different ages, but we relate to how Bryson DeChambeau really electrified the crowd. and was someone who wanted to celebrate with everyone. I mean, he stayed there and signed autographs till the sun went down. He wanted all the fans to touch the trophy. I mean, you want to grow the game. You want to get common fans excited to watch. I was glued to it all day on Sunday, and it was really a fabulous finish, and I think just a great thing for golf in general.
So as an athlete, if you have a bad outing, we saw Rory there. He obviously chokes it away on 18, and then he doesn't talk to the media afterwards. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Chris, as gut-wrenching, and it was. I mean, this is an all-timer for Rory, considering you got the 2-shot lead with a handful of holes to go. You've got putts within 3.5, 4 feet that you've been 100% on all year, and that's how you lose it. I get from a standpoint, hey, I've given up walk-off homers. I've been, the winning pitcher on games where, you have a defensive gem behind you that saves a game, or I've come in and had to strike out guys to save our team and get us a win. But no matter what, you got to face the music. And for me, I would have sat there. I would have, been in that room and waited for Bryson to come in with you. As hard as it would be to realize you were just 3 holes away from winning your 5th major, you stand there like a man. You give him a hug, you shake his hand, and you say, "Job well done, man. Today was your day." And then you can get in your car and go. But at least make a stop to the media and say, hey, it was my fault. I didn't make the putts when I needed to. I didn't make the shots when I needed to. That's it. You don't have to have a long, drawn-out press conference, but I think he needed to stand there and face the music and ultimately be a sportsman and acknowledge the accomplishment that Bryson had.
Good stuff, talking all things really sports. I mean, we've hit a ton in this segment.
I always
got to
hit him up.
The summer.
The thing with Jensen is he does baseball so great, but you could also walk him around to any other sport, and he's going to be on point. So once again, thank you, Jensen, for another great week.
Yeah, thanks so much. Jensen, I got to hit you this one, too, real quick before we get you out of here. I've been betting on Kyle Manzardo home run almost every game. Is that bet ever going to cash, man, or am I going to see nothing but red tickets on my Tipico app?
Oh God! I mean, Nick, I hope for your sake that it's got to. The law of averages says it does, right? I mean, you got the best hitting environment of the year outside of Colorado coming up right now with 90+ degrees, the humidity, the jet stream starting to blow out to right center field. It's all there for the taking, man. So I'm hoping you're cashing a ticket here at some point.
I hope so too. I've seen Rocchio hit one. Now Schneeman's hit one.
Yeah.
Come on, Manzardo, please, for the sake of my bets, poke one out. Hopefully this week the weather's going to be hot. Jensen, thanks so much for popping in.
Stay cool.
You got it, guys. Talk to you next week.
Always fun talking with Jensen Lewis. Hey, we're going to step aside. We'll hit you guys with some fill in the blank when we return. Don't go anywhere. More of the Big Play Cleveland show right after this.
Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland show. We've got some fill in the blank ahead of us. And our first one's an interesting question. Let's catch the viewers up. We have a big play horse. And, you can actually have a share of this horse. Anyone interested in owning a share, you can go to My Racehorse, the website or the app, and you can buy a share for $60. But basically, our horse is a 2-year-old colt and shares a trainer with the Preakness champion, Seize the Gray. So this is pretty exciting for us. We want to win. We want to see this horse do big things. And you can follow along as we choose a name for it as we try to qualify for the Kentucky Derby, and we go along on this journey with our big play horse. So we asked X, what do you think we should name the horse? And the answers got pretty entertaining. I'm going to ask you guys, my favorite name suggestion for our racehorse thus far is...
We got the obligatory Horsey McHorseface, of course, from several people already, going in the same vein as Bodie McBoatface. I'll tell you what, my favorite came from the Clemson kid. He had 3 good ones here. Harry Trotter, not bad. Usain Colt.
That's a good
like
one.
That one, right?
That's a good one.
Al Capone, not bad. Pony Soprano. Get that one? Yeah.
Cute.
No. Edgar Allan Pony.
Oh, that's a good one.
How about that? A little punny on those, but I like those. Those are pretty good suggestions.
Yeah. I like him too. I think currently it's named as Lahaina Luck because it took its mom's name.
Yeah.
We've learned throughout this process that when you have a horse that you just bought, it just takes the name of its mom until you decide on it.
Sure.
So we got to find a name for this thing. Currently on the My Racehorse website, it says Lahaina Luck on there.
Right.
So we got to name it. I just want to name it Big Play.
Big Play. I liked Josh Naylor.
That's good.
That's a good
That's
one.
a good one.
But also Usain Colt's pretty up there for me.
Yeah, a lot of good suggestions. So we are gonna have like a naming contest at some point where fans could, actually submit like official submissions, and then we're gonna figure out how to name this thing because I think that tweet had like 250 replies.
It
or
did. A
something
lot of
crazy
people
like
are
that.
interested
Yeah.
in naming
Yeah,
our horse.
and then there was like more action on the Facebook as well. So I will have some sort of official contest coming soon for
If you have
naming this horse.
birthdays coming up or other special events for Father's Day, I got my father and my grandfather both a share of the horse. So they've literally got a horse in the race now, Nick, and they were all excited about it. Now they're going to be following along for all the workouts, for any races, what's going on with the horse. They'll be able to follow in real time. So it's a really cool present as well, and I'm excited.
Yeah, go check it out. My Racehorse. The thing is almost halfway sold out. So go download that app. Find Lahaina Luck, born in 2022. That is our 2-year-old colt, and we're going to be training him up to running some races here real soon.
Exciting. Okay. Shifting gears here a little bit. On a scale of 1 to 10, my level of concern for Amari Cooper's holdout is at...
The birthday boy this week, right?
Yeah.
Amari Cooper. Browns wishing him happy birthday. He's probably wishing they had a new contract for him. Right now, it's at a 2 for me. I'm not particularly concerned. I think that Andrew Berry and co. probably anticipated some sort of a holdout with what they did with Jerry Jeudy and where the market's at right now. Now, if this continues to extend on, Nick, then I'm going to get concerned. But as we sit right now, middle of June, I'm not too concerned. I think there's mutual interest on both sides to bring Amari Cooper back, and I think we see the value in bumping that contract status up a little bit more in terms of money.
For sure. I was told by a longtime NFL agent, it's not Amari Cooper's agent, it's an unaffiliated agent, that this was kind of to be expected. You can't expect any top-line talent, top-line player to roll into that last final year of their deal with no protection on it. Nothing to fall back on in terms of years on the end of this. I will say, as much as I do trust the brain trust of these Browns, Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Berry, this is something that I would like to see extinguished kind of quickly. It would be nice if we could get Cooper into training camp on a new deal. This is the best Browns receiver that they've had since Josh Gordon. I mean, this is a very key piece to what they want to do offensively. We heard they want to throw the football more. To me, that all starts with Amari Cooper. They got to find a way to bring him back and make him happy for this season.
Myles Garrett on the kickoff return team would be.
Scary.
Yeah, please don't let this happen.
It would be scary for me as a fan. Flashes of Kellen Winslow Jr., Butch Davis putting him in on the onside kick. I don't want to think about that. I think special teams, let special teams be special teams. Let Myles Garrett be special on defense. Don't mix the two, Nick. It makes me too nervous.
I do think teams are going to get very creative with this new XFL-inspired kickoff rule. And it's funny, of course, that Myles raised his hand that he wanted to be at the forefront of that. But I think that's why we've seen the Browns make some other moves. That's probably why they brought in Naheem Hines. I don't know how much we could expect out of Hines as a running back, but I think in this return game, we're going to see the Browns try to get creative. They've got a young special team coordinator in Bubba Ventrone who's been around the block. I think they are kind of an organization that's young. They lean analytics, but that also means they're on the cutting edge of this sort of stuff. So they're going to try to find a way to finagle these rules to their benefit. And of course, it's funny that Myles Garrett kind of threw his hat in the ring of who could be the returner.
I know we already talked about Stephen Kwan and how offensively productive he's been, almost to the 400 batting average mark. Stephen Kwan is
always on base. Shout out Michael Hook on that one.
Yeah.
I'm out of superlatives when it comes to Stephen Kwan. He's been amazing. We had him here on our show last week. He's continued to stay hot ever since before the injury, after the injury. He deserves to be an all-star. He will be an all-star in my mind. He's such a great player to set the table at the top of the lineup and really set the tone for this entire Guardians offensive effort. So Stephen Kwan, keep doing what you're doing. My only concern now is keeping that heat up through the end of the season, right? When
Yeah.
we come to the fall.
Yeah, it'd be awesome, like Jensen said, to see him in that conversation to be around 400 this fall. I'm going to say Stephen Kwan is unjinxable. It's a thing in
Oh,
radio.
don't say
I
that.
can't believe he did that. I cannot believe he just did
It's
that.
a big thing in radio.
Oh, no.
We've had our fair share of guests that we've brought on, and then things went wrong for them throughout their career. And we won't name any names, but there's been a handful of characters that have been on this program, and then things start going south for them. I think Stephen Kwan starts to bring a change to that average, bring a change to that mean. He is unjinxable. He is that good. Our show can't have a negative influence on him.
Dang. Okay. After watching this NBA Finals, the Cavs are blank from being serious title contenders next year.
Well, we're at least a coach away. I can
Still
tell you
hasn't
that because
happened
we
yet.
still don't have a coach, and presumably we're going to need one of those going into the season, unless we have some sort of a player coach thing with LeBron coming back. But no, how far are we? I don't know. I really don't. It seems like we're not really that far in the East, but then you look at Boston and you look at just how dominant they've been, last game aside. They continue to shoot well. They have so many options offensively, and it just seems like we went hot and cold so often on this team. And really, if you have Donovan Mitchell not come back, we don't have much of anything. If you have Donovan Mitchell come back, then you add the pieces around it, add a coach. We're not that far away, but still, there's a leap there.
There definitely is. And the thing is you can't be a serious title contender in February. I'm so sick of that.
Yeah.
And as fun as Donovan Mitchell and his performances were in the 71 points, I know that was 2 years ago now, that doesn't matter. I mean, you need to be on the floor against the Boston Celtics and help the Cavs beat those guys. Like, that's what matters when you're in a position like the Cavs are. So they need to now start making noise in the playoffs before they start getting put into these conversations of, are they legit title contenders? Because right now the answer is no. We saw them struggle to get past Orlando. We saw them get decimated by these Boston Celtics, who have proven, though, to be pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm going to say they're still a far, far drop away from Boston as things currently stand.
All right. Well, that'll do it for our fill in the blanks for now. Let's take a short break and we'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this.
Welcome on back into the Big Play Cleveland show. Our bets on the show this week and every week are brought to you by our friends at Tipico Sportsbook. Go check out Tipico, guys. They're doing a cool little promo for Guardians season, which is going on right now. You bet $30 on a Guardians game, and you get a $2 bet credit for every single hit the Guardians have in the game. So I've been manipulating this a little bit. Nice. I like putting the $30 on the no-run first inning or yes-run first inning. So I have my answer on my $30 in the first inning. In the first 6 outs, I know whether my $30 went to waste or whether that bet won. And then from there, I just cheer on hits. You know, then $2 bet credit, $2 bet credit,
Gotcha.
$2 bet credit for every single Guardians hit. We've been talking all show about how fun this Guardians offense has been. So go download that Tipico Sportsbook app now. When you do, use promo code Cleveland150. You got to be 21 years or older to gamble in Ohio. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Guys, one thing that we won't be able to bet on, boo you to the state of Ohio, is the 4th of July. Joey Chestnut out, Chris, of the Nathan's hot dog contest. What were your thoughts when that news broke? Banned.
I mean, he's
Joey Chestnut.
He's the main attraction there is Joey Chestnut. Everybody shows up to see that guy. The Nathan's hot dog eating competition has been going on for like 100 years, but here in the last 10, 15 years, it's been all about Joey Chestnut and what he's done there. So it's unfortunate that he's not going to be there. I think a lot of this may be a marketing ploy because, boy, it sure does up the interest if you say no Joey Chestnut and have everybody from all corners of social media of the world saying, you got to have Joey Chestnut. And then all of a sudden, a week out, maybe they announce, hey, guess what? We came to an agreement. Joey Chestnut is going to be in Nathan's hot dog eating competition for 2024. Let's go. And everybody flocks to their TVs and watches it.
It did smell like a publicity stunt, but I think they're serious. I think he got this deal because what went wrong is he got the deal from Impossible Foods to do like promote a vegan dog. And then now he's going to be on this Netflix event on Labor Day competing against Kobayashi, who's stepping out of retirement. I mean, the last we heard, which was like less than a month ago, that he couldn't eat anymore.
Yeah, well, I saw a full documentary where he was on there, and he said basically competitive eating had messed him up so much. He doesn't know when he's hungry. He doesn't know when he's full. So it has really changed the way that he eats. So he can't eat normally. Then all of a sudden, he's doing a Netflix special. He's back.
Yeah, he's back. Now, how about Netflix? We talked about this on the show before, like leaning into the live events. I'm such a fan of it. Like the Jake Paul fight. Like, I'm going to be more tuned into Chestnut Kobayashi on Netflix than I am the 4th of July, whatever Nathan's trots out there on Coney Island.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, just like all of sports, right? If it's live and you can talk about it and you can get on social, I'm a big fan of it, number one. And number two, then you get to choose your horse, right? You pick the guy that you want. You either love Joey Chestnut or you hate Joey Chestnut. You go for guys like Nick Weary, our guy right here. So, I mean, it's always better to have the best in the game in there. So hopefully he's going to be there in the Nathans. And as far as this undercard goes with the Netflix, it's like, that'll be fun.
You think that's the undercard?
He's going to be punching down. He's going to be punching down, completely punching down on Kobayashi. The dude can't even eat.
That's going to dumpster the viewership. The Netflix viewership numbers are going to be way better than 4th of July. No, because nobody cares about it without Chestnut.
They will.
Without Chestnut, it's going to be
probably
like
right.
sad,
It's going to be a big disappointment.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a big disappointment. You're going to see Joey Chestnut eat a whole lot of hot dogs. You're going to see Kobayashi
eat that
puke. We're going to see reversal of fortune all over the place, and that's what you're going to get out of that. Give me the 4th of July, Nick. I want to see Nick Weary out there. I want to see our guys. I want to see the tradition there. The Netflix, that'll be fun. It's a live event. Like I said, you can enjoy it on social, but give me the tradition.
All right, let's get into some things that we could actually bet on. The Guardians have the Mariners this week. It'll be McKenzie, Bybee, Allen. So, I mean, as good as this Mariners rotation is, the Guardians are kind of giving them our best as well, which is always good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking for Jose Ramirez, hopefully to get back. I'd like to put some money on Jose as soon as he gets back to just start just going on a tear. You know, you become a father for the 3rd time. All of a sudden, get a little bit more excitement in the swing, doing it for the whole fam. And I could see him going on another tear here. It'd be nice after this little break, stepping away and then getting back into the swing of things.
And we've totally seen guys, go on that paternity list and just come back like man on a mission, like across sports, football, basketball, and baseball.
From a guy over here who's got 3 kids got to eat, man. You got to be out there performing. The kids got to eat. So hopefully Jose gets out there and keeps smashing.
All right, and then we got the Blue Jays weekend series at Progressive Field. Cookie on Friday. Chris, you trust Carlos Carrasco against these Blue Jays after that last outing?
Always have a soft spot for Cookie. He'll be a legend in this town forever. Great past with him. The present, though, not so good. That was just tough to watch, and I don't think he has it anymore. Hopefully, we're going to have a solution, as Jensen was talking about, coming up the pipeline. But as of right now, my confidence level in Cookie is about at a 0.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, other things to look for, other things to bet on the Tipico Sportsbook app. On Wednesday, the Columbus Crew will head down to Miami to play Inter Miami.
Did you hit your bet over the weekend? The Crew were playing.
The Crew were at Yankee Stadium.
The Crew were at Yankee Stadium. They win that game 3-2. Cucho goal. I had Cucho goal. I had Crew to win. Crew was down early in that game. I looked at the app, and I looked at it again and go, oh, my gosh, I might actually win this thing. And, oh, by the way, Cucho also got that goal. So I was kind of, eating that one out at the end there, eking it out at the end, but we got it done, and that was fun.
And then for the game this week, like the big hype was going to be like, oh, it's Crew, it's in Miami, it's Messi in the MLS. Yeah, he's out because soccer is playing a million different leagues at once, and he's overseas somewhere playing for Argentina in some unaffiliated thing. So the Crew will be playing against Inter Miami without messy.
Yeah, Miami's currently first in the East. The Crew's right in the middle there at 6th. So should be a good battle. It's nice to see that win, especially at Yankee Stadium there against New York. Hopefully we can continue that momentum.
Alrighty, that's it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Big Play Cleveland show. Make sure to go download that Tipico Sportsbook app, and we will see you guys on the show next week.